They just won't quit. The CIA is giving Syrian militants anti-airliner weapons to keep the Russians, quote, at bay. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the CIA and its partners have increased the flow of military supplies to rebels in northern Syria, including the U.S.-made TOW anti-tank missiles, these officials said. Those supplies will continue to increase in coming weeks, replenishing stocks depleted by the regime's expanded military offensive. An Obama administration official said the military pressure is needed to push Mr. Assad from power. Assad is not going to feel any pressure to make concessions if there is no viable opposition that has the capability, through the support of its partners, to put pressure on his regime, according to an official there. In addition to the arms the U.S. has agreed to provide, Saudi and Turkish officials have renewed talks with their American counterparts about allowing limited supplies of shoulder-fired man-portable air defense systems, or MANPADS, to select rebels. Okay, select rebels. I don't know how they go ahead and determine who to give it to. They say that those weapons could help target regime aircraft, in particular those responsible for dropping barrel bombs, and could also help keep Russian air power at bay, according to officials. ZeroHedge.com comments, quote, "In order to make sure no one ends up blowing a 747 out of the sky, Washington will, quote, retrofit the weapons with special software that makes sure they can only be used in certain areas." They continue, "Make no mistake, this has gone beyond absurd and is now bordering on the bizarre. It's apparently not enough that the U.S. is supplying anti-tank missiles to rebels shooting at the very same Iran-backed militias that the U.S. implicitly supports across the border in Iraq. So now the CIA and Saudi Arabia will give these same rebels the firepower to shoot down planes, meaning that in the best case scenario, they'll be firing at Russian fighter jets. And in the worst case scenario, these weapons will end up in the wrong hands and be used to down commercial flights." Zero Hedge continues, "It's difficult to see how John Kerry can attend, quote, peace talks in Vienna and keep a straight face while chatting with Sergei Lavrov. That's not to say that Russia bears no responsibility for its role in the conflict. Sure, Moscow is supporting a legitimate government in Syria, but they're still dropping bombs on populated areas. But the U.S. and the Saudis are arming Sunni extremist groups and encouraging them to shoot at Russian and Iranian forces. For Obama to suggest that this is not a proxy war is absolutely absurd." Zero Hedge continues, "Putting this all together, it is now possible that the U.S. is sending anti-tank weapons to rebels who are shooting at Iranian soldiers, embedding ground troops near Latakia, which means they'll almost certainly be engaging Hezbollah directly and passing weapons capable of downing a commercial airliner to select militants days after a Russian passenger jet exploded in the skies above the Sinai Peninsula." This is all in conjunction, Zero Hedge continues, with the Saudis and Erdogan, who just rigged an election in Turkey on the way to rewriting his country's constitution. And the Western media reports all this with a straight face, as though it's making some kind of sense. Absolutely making no sense at all. The CIA is showing no signs of backing down. The associated allies, if you will, continuing to arm the Syrian rebels, giving them, you see what's happening here, anti-tank missiles and shoulder-fired rockets. This is exactly what John McCain said in that Fox interview that he gave to Fox Business Channel, Neil Cavuto, and he said he wanted to see the Syrian rebels have the ability to shoot down those planes. So it's not like they're just going to be running around shooting down Syrian Air Force. That means they're going to be shooting down Russian planes, Russian fighter jets. Do you understand why this is so dangerous? It's because the Americans are arming the opposition to Assad. Meanwhile, Russia is bombing those same rebels that we are arming. So we're arming them. They're going to be shooting down those planes overhead. And just in the wake of this last airliner that went down, that ISIS claimed responsibility for, it's a very, very dangerous game that's being played. And Obama's in denial, saying it's not a proxy war. And John Kerry's feigning some sort of peace talks over the whole situation while shipping off arms through the back door. It's a disgrace, and it needs to stop before we all die. because that's what will happen. If this continues and we start shooting down Russian jets over Syria, it's only going to inflame the situation even more. And what comes next? Well, I'll leave that up to you in the comments section. For the Next News Network, hit that share button, hit the like button, let your friends know, warn your friends about the lunacy of our world leaders because, well, they won't see it on the evening news. They'll see it here at the Next News Network.